Hello, and welcome back to the channel. See here we're kind of the start of the free agency period after the 23-24 season, so this is going to be the 23-24 season recap. As you can kind of tell, we didn't win the Stanley Cup. Detroit Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, defeating the Nashville Predators. So kind of go through how the regular season went and whatnot, any trades and playoffs and the draft and all that good stuff. So let's kind of, I guess, get into the regular season. So as you can see here, we finished with a 43, 29, and 10 record, which is better than they finished with IRL. They finished under 500 in real life by one game. That kind of record was good enough for First Pacific, surprisingly enough. So we made the playoffs this season, despite me not expecting to. So as this image, thought we were kind of better than the Flames were actually this season, but yes, we were able to make the playoffs, top of the Pacific. The President's Trophy was the New York Islanders, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, President's Trophy went to the Islanders, and as I said, the Red Wings beat the Predators in the Stanley Cup final. We'll kind of get into how the playoffs went in a second. In terms of leading scorers, you can see here Jonathan Huberdeau finished with 73 points, which was 13 goals and 60 assists for 73 points to lead the team in scoring. In terms of how Coronato did, he's not here. I guess because he's technically on the NHL roster right now. With how the free agency period works. Because he's not going to be here because he didn't play in the NHL games. So this is a weird situation. I guess I gotta tell you, he finished. He didn't play in the NHL. Let's send him down the AHL, kind of help him develop. He had 59 points, 24 goals, 35 assists in the AHL, and then the AHL team didn't make the playoffs, so there's nothing to report with him there. So, kind of in terms of the other stuff with the goals per game, it's kind of surprised for me the playoffs. We were kind of middle of the pack both. 3 goals for per game, which is 15th, and 2.96 goals against per game, which is 16th, so we're basically in the middle of the pack. But the Pacific was easily the weakest division, as we would have been with our points total tied for 3rd in the Central and the Atlantic, and 5th in the Metropolitan Division. So kind of the Pacific was the weak division. We kind of came out of that weak pack. But in terms of the playoff tree, I'll pull that up so you can kind of go through how the playoffs went. So as you can see, we got matched up against the Minnesota Wild, who finished the season with 88 points, and were the wild card one out of the West in round 1. Beat them in 5 games. We won game 1 2-1. They won game 2 4-3. Then we won the next 3 6-3, 6-2, 7-3. We then got matched up against the Golden Knights, who, as you can see in round 2, who had beaten the Ducks in the previous round. We beat the Golden Knights in a dramatic 7-game series. We won game 1 games 1 and 2 4-3, 3-2. Vegas then won game 3 4-2. We won game 4 6-4, take a 3-1 series lead. But Vegas kind of forced to game 7 by winning games 5 and 6, 5-1, 2-1. And then we won game 7, 3-2. In terms of the Western Conference Finals, we lost to the Nashville Predators in 7. They won game 1 4-2. We won game 2 4-1. They won games 3 and 4 4-3, and 1-2. We won games 5 and 6, kind of like in the Vegas series. So it basically was like kind of a mirror of the Vegas series in a way. We won games 5 and 6, 1-0, and 2-1 to force game 7, then lost game 7, 1-0. So yeah, we went on a pretty deep playoff run. Not a lot. Kind of further in the playoffs than I was expecting, but I was kind of hoping we were like on the brink of the Stanley Cup Finals, but didn't make it, which is disappointing. But it was a lot better season than I thought, so I'm not too upset. I guess I should pull up the awards and stuff, right? That's probably the next logical place to go. There's the individual awards. So Connor Dape won the Ross. He finished with 103 points. Nico Rantanen won the Hart. He finished with 100. It's kind of weird because him and McKinnon were 100, 101 points. So don't know why the game picked him kind of to win these awards, but it's whatever. McCarr won the Norris. Zegras won the Lady Byng. Leo Carlson won the Calder. Dylan Larkin won the Conn Smythe for the Red Wings. Ilya Sorokin won the Vezina for the Islanders, who finished well the rest of the trophies, says that's probably why. Jennings went to Georgiev and Francouz from the Avalanche. Masterson went to Jonas Siegenthaler of the Devils. Jack Adams went to the Ducks coach, I guess probably because they finished third in the Pacific, 90 points. Selke went to Ryan O'Reilly. Ted Lindsay went to Mikko Rantanen, and the Rocket Richard went to Austin Matthews. So that's kind of how the season went in terms of the regular season playoffs and stuff. Our leading score in the playoffs, I guess that was the last thing I kind of forgot, which I think is it down here. Can we see it here? Yeah, Mackenzie Weegar, 5 goals, 15 assists for 20 points in 19 games, so a point per game, so as a defenseman was pretty impressive. Kind of in terms of the draft, we had a pretty decent draft. So we had a kind of couple of picks in like the first, like all the first, I think 4 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, all of the first 4 rounds we had 2 picks in each. So I kind of got a good haul of prospects. Oops. I got a right defenseman, center, 3 left wingers, a left defenseman, a goalie, and 2 right wingers with all our picks. They're all decent potential. Some are pretty good, some are alright. But so even if a couple of them work out, it'll be good for us in the long run. And in terms of kind of the rest of the off season and stuff, kind of the big thing was, if we go here, the coaching staff is, even though we made it to the conference finals, because obviously IRL you probably wouldn't fire your coach after making it to the conference finals when you weren't expecting it, but I did. I fired our coach and I hired this chap, Harry Blue Juice, instead. Here's an A- for the teaching specialty forwards, and the reason why is because, if you can see here, his second line kind of setup is behind the net, carry, shoot, efficient, and balanced. And Matt Coronato's kind of player preferences are behind the net, carry, shoot, efficient, balanced. So he's a perfect fit for this guy's second line. He's kind of the only coach that had that kind of exact setup. So I was like, all right. I kind of like hedged my bets though. I'm playing around with that kind of game. I like demoted our NHL, like our original head coach to like NHL goalie coach, and then left the that coach spot vacant just in case this guy didn't want to sign for some reason. I had to run it back with our other coach, but this guy thankfully wanted to sign with us. So we have him on a 4-year deal. So hopefully in these next 4 seasons we can win the cup. That'd be pretty exciting. So this kind of revelation here, we're kind of hiring the new coach and knowing exactly kind of his scheme and all that. That led to some big moves in the off season. Kind of both in terms of trades and free agency, which you might have kind of seen some of the results of that kind of in the other screens you've been going through. But in terms of trades, I'll kind of go through those. So we had like one during the season, which was to get rid of Dylan Dubé, because he's Dylan Dubé. We got a 6th and a 7th from Colorado for him. And then at the draft, I traded away our 6th and 7th round picks to the Coyotes for a 3rd round pick in the next year's draft. And then the off season, here we go, we kind of went on a big trading spree, kind of getting rid of players who didn't fit the scheme. Kind of in terms of like based on their overall, they should be like a 1st-line player or a 2nd-line player, and like they didn't really fit with our coach's scheme, so there was no point keeping them around. We had other players who kind of fit those spots, or we could kind of game on people in free agency and whatnot. So our first one was our captain, Michael Backlund. I traded to the Chicago Blackhawks for a 3rd and a 4th round pick in 2026. Next one, this is probably the biggest trade, was I traded Nazem Kadri, 1-for-1, to Carolina for Martin Necas. And then traded Andrew Mangiapane to the Lightning for 2/3, 125 and 126. Traded Oliver Shillington to Vancouver for a 2nd round pick in 2025. And then this one I didn't like. My hand was forced because he didn't want to sign an extension, so I had to qualify him. Dustin Wolf, kind of who would have been our goalie of the future. So I potentially could have kind of traded Jacob Marks an extra point, but he didn't want. But Wolf didn't want an extension, so I kind of had to trade him away. I traded him to the Penguins for a 3rd and a 4th. So then in terms of our free agent kind of business, what we needed was a 3rd-line left winger, kind of 1st and 3rd line right wingers, kind of middle defensive pairing, 3rd pairing left defenseman, and then like kind of a 13th forward center. So kind of in terms of those, we signed Stefan Nason to be our 3rd line right winger. Where is he? Probably easier to scope by position. Here he is. We signed him to a 1-year, $2.75 million contract, and then Travis Dermott to be the third pairing defenseman. 1 year, $2 million contract. Then our kind of middle pairing went with Brady Shea for 1 year, $5.75 million year contract, and then Dylan DeMello, a 1 year, $5 million contract. Kind of test them out and see if they fit the coach's scheme or not. And then kind of in terms of that also, Daniel Miromanov, doing this way pronounce it. He's going to kind of be our third pairing right defenseman the entire kind of rest of the series, hopefully, because he's a perfect fit for that there. So him and Coronato are two perfect fits so far. So the two of them are kind of going to be your hopefully for the rest of the series. And then in terms of the rest of the forwards, there's a left wing signed Warren Fogle to be our third line left wing, 1 year, $4 million a year contract. Kind of first line right winger, kind of went big and signed Joe Pavelski to a 1 year, $8 million contract to be our first line right winger. And then kind of 13th forward center, assistant, signed Big Tuna, Liam O'Brien to a 1 year, $900,000 a year contract. So that's kind of, that was all our kind of free agents in business. We don't really have any scouts contracts expiring, so it's kind of, I didn't move at all. Not so, yeah, so that was pretty decent in my opinion, at least for agency period. Kind of shook up the roster, kind of got rid of players that wouldn't fit the coach's scheme. Kind of took some gambles on like Marty Natchez, pretty much was the big gamble in terms of actually trading like a player for a player. Because the rest of the guys I kind of just got rid of for picks, because the game like had fine trade feature actually works and found those trades for them. Calgary, no one wanted to trade for like find a trade feature didn't work, so I kind of went out looking for a hockey trade, and kind of Natchez was kind of the player that I kind of focused in on, and was able to get, so I'm pretty happy with that. One kind of free agency period, we kind of got decent players on 1 year contracts, but just kind of experimental, see if they fit the scheme or not. If they fit the scheme, probably try and lock them up long term. If they don't, then I can kind of, for somehow having like a bad season, move them on at the deadline, or kind of just let them go and rinse and repeat and find some new players to kind of try out. So yeah, that's kind of in terms of the actual recap of what happened this season, kind of off season. That's kind of it. So kind of in terms of expectations for next season, considering we were able to make the conference finals last season, but I guess it's kind of the whole changing the coach. Who knows how it's going to kind of affect the sim and stuff. So I guess I'm not going to shoot too high. I'm going to, I guess, like hopefully expect that we're going to make the playoffs again, and then kind of see where we go from there. But yeah, that's kind of not going to shoot too high, but not shoot too low either. I think we should make the playoffs, kind of our roster and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of it for this episode. There's not really much else to go into in terms of kind of going through the season. We kind of hit all the major points and whatnot. So yeah, so then the next episode will be the 2024-25 season recap, and kind of hopefully win the cup. But if we don't, kind of not a huge deal, not my expectation. But yeah, so kind of thank you everyone who watched this, and hopefully you watch the next episode as well.